All right, here we are, and this is not part of the soda wars. I used to drink it all the time and think when I was drinking diet soda that was great. Now, if anything, I drink some ginger ale, but not a lot. This is from a new study, and the people seem to know what they're talking about, although one of our listeners doesn't think so, Leo in Catonsville. But this drinking of too much soda, the drinking of too much soda could add to your aging process. That's right. It puts caps on your chromosomes, which you often hear talked about on the show I do with Dr. Jeffrey Shapiro from Columbia Presbyterian on Sunday mornings from 8 until 9. Those chromosomes are called telomeres. You've heard us talk about them a lot. They shrink. In the past several years, researchers at the University of California have analyzed the stored DNA for more than 5,300 healthy Americans in the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, some from 14 years ago. So, Leo, that indicates that this is fairly serious, nothing that's being done in the cola wars at all. Psychiatry professor Alyssa Appel, who is one of the senior authors of the study, says that according to the research, drinking a 20 ounces a day, and according to the research, that beverage is linked to 4.6 years of additional aging. You get the same effect by smoking. And this is according to postdoctoral fellow Cindy Lung, who was another lead author of the study. About 21% of the sample said they drank at least that much soda per day. And by the way, I do want to note here, and what Leo said earlier, I told you about his email, the researchers say at this time that does not necessarily mean causation, but it's something that is still under investigation and should be. Joining us again today is the author of Sugar Rehab, and I'm so happy because one of our listeners emailed me the other day, do you recall the author of Sugar Rehab? And I thought I had the email around, and I didn't. It is Dr. Gerald Edelman, and he is an oncologist, a medical expert, and author, and it is good to have him. And the book Sugar Rehab, it details the nation's addiction to hidden sugar, which we can talk about as well if we get the time. But, Doctor, good to have you back on the Tom Marr Show. How are you?
Oh, it's great to be with you again. I'm doing fine.
All right, now here we are with this study on sugary sodas. Do you really think that they could be, I know sugar's a killer, by the way. I just talked to a pediatrician about it that I just happened to be with on Saturday, that sugar can be a killer, but do you really think that they could be as bad as soda?
Yes. And smoking, so smoking, we already know, ages you and causes wrinkles and all the diseases. So society is becoming aware now of just how toxic sugar is. And, so think about this. What would the FDA do if sugar came to them now for them to approve or not approve? All the disclaimers that we hear on these TV commercials for drugs.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh, some of them, they scare you more than the benefit of the drug. Right.
So think about that, because if they did sugar, if a company came on and did sugar, you would hear a zillion disclaimers. So this study measured the ends of the chromosomes, which are called telomeres, kind of a cool name.
Or telomeres, like I call them.
Telomeres.
Right.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. And those shorten as we age.
Right.
And so that is a quantitative, precise measurement that correlates with your chronological age. So people that are 60 are going to have shorter telomeres, as you say, than people say that are 20. And what's interesting about it is if you go from age 60 to age 68, you actually triple to quadruple your risk for disease, and your telomeres shorten by about that amount. So there's correlations between disease, aging, chronological age, and the shortening of these telomeres. And guess what? Drinking 20 ounces of a sugary soda once a day causes shortening of the telomeres, aging, and we can extrapolate from that all the diseases that we know sugar causes.
And let's just say somebody's at work for 8 hours, like I get here fairly early in the morning. It's nothing to see from my colleagues to a couple of times during the course of the day go to get a soda, and the soda machine we now have 16 ounces in it, so that's 32, that's more than 20. But when you come to stop and think of it, that could really, really be a problem. Now, in your book, Sugar Rehab, talk about hidden sugar. I know a little about it, but Americans consume it and they don't have a clue.
Yeah, and I think so. We want to simplify our conversation for your listeners, in my opinion. So there's all these fancy words, one of which I couldn't even pronounce, the telomere. But what is the message? The message is that we are being inundated with sugar in all of our foods. So we've chosen soda. It's an obvious, target.
Right.
But what about all the hidden sugar that companies are dumping into products, to make them taste better? Well, I've been going around talking about how many sugar cubes there are in different things. So in a Yoplait low-fat yogurt, there's about 3 sugar cubes there. In, say, a tonic water, if you're drinking some tonic water, you've got as much sugar in that as a Coke, and that could be as much as 10 sugar cubes that you're putting in your body with a serving. So all of those products, and by the way, a lot of them are marketed as being pure and natural and organic and gluten-free, by the way. That's another one. In a lot of gluten-free products, there's actually a lot of sugar.
Well,
so
I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Did you know that?
No, I
didn't.
Did you know that? No,
yeah.
no, I didn't. I certainly didn't.
So
you'd be better off with a probiotic than the yogurt, anyway.
Yeah, well, a lot of those yogurts are packed with sugar in them, and yet they have probiotic, and it's all labeled like it's good. So in the book Sugar Rehab, which you and I have talked about before, and by the way, I just want to say I've upgraded and have, I think, a pretty cool website that I'd like your listeners to go to.
Well, let's hear the
drjerrys.com.
Okay, with a G, right?
It's J.
Oh, okay, so J. They have it spelled G here, so we'll call it drjerry.com.
It's Dr. the DOCTORJERRYS.com, drjerrys.com. And I've got a lot of information in there that you and I are talking about. So
now, spell the Jerry part of it one more time.
Sure. It's JERRYS.
Okay.
So it's drjerrys.com.
Okay.
And what I've done in there is I've given some guidance. If you look at the label, if your readers will look at labels and just look at the sugars, okay, because if you focus in on the sugars, you're going to get rid of all the noise, like gluten-free, organic, natural sugars. If you'll limit the sugars per serving to about 2 or 3 grams per serving, and don't buy anything else and don't bring it in your house, you've achieved what you need to do to avoid what you and I are talking about.
Well, it's interesting. I work with Dr. Jeffrey Shapiro, and he is an assistant medical professor, and his specialty is cardiology and all things cardiology. And I told him the other day that I ate, we were just casually talking, and I said, what was it that I ate a half a banana for? I'm trying to think what bananas have in it that you need every day, and it's beyond me right now. But he said, oh, no, be careful. Be careful of the sugar in that banana. What about fruit and the sugar in fruit?
Yeah, so there's 2 problems with the sugar in fruit as relates to what we're talking about. One problem is you get the glucose. That's the part of the sugar that does the damage we're talking about. Glucose binds to DNA. It binds to proteins and binds to RNA. These are all molecular terms. But it causes dysfunctionality of these proteins and RNA and whatnot and DNA by binding to it. But the other part of the fruit sugar is fructose. And guess what fructose does?
I have no idea.
It shuts off the normal signaling from the brain that you're full. It shuts it off.
Oh, so you keep stuffing.
Yeah, that's right. And you probably had that experience where, you eat some sugary stuff in the morning.
Oh, I've had it. I've had it in my life. I've had the gastric bypass, and it was a success. But I guarantee you, before that, I've had it early in the morning and late at night and all day long. Right,
and so when you eat a bit. Let's say you eat a banana and a light yogurt in the morning on the run. What happens? Well, in an hour or hour and a half, you're hungry again. Okay, so what's happening is that fructose part of the sugar in fruit and sugary fruits like bananas is actually inhibiting the brain from telling you, hey, you've had enough.
I think I think the banana was for potassium, and I can remember Dr. Shapiro saying, no, there are better ways than that banana.
Well, I agree I'd like to meet Dr. Shapiro because I agree.
He's a heck of a guy. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with him. But you know what? The broader concept that I want to get across to your listeners is be aware of marketing in every area of your life. I mean, there are people that go to school to learn how to market. So in nutrition, they'll market stuff to you like that. Well, it's full of potassium and minerals and whatnot. But you have to keep your eye on the ball. Is this food going to spike my blood sugar? If the answer to that is yes, don't eat it.
Oh boy, for a diet,
vitamins otherwise.
We have 120 million pre-diabetics in our country, Doctor. We have 72 to 73 million people with type 2 diabetes, and what you're talking about right now is a real silent killer for them, and they may not even realize it.
That's the problem. It's a silent killer. So I have a little bit of fear, I have two feelings about this study we're talking about with telomeres and shortening and aging.
Right.
One is that we're going to bury people in confusion and just, with all these abstract concepts. The other is that we're going to take our eye off the real ball. What's the real issue here? If we avoid blood sugar spikes and we get a little exercise, we're going to decrease our body fat content and we're going to have better health. Look at it this way. A low-sugar diet, like I promote in my book or and explain,
right,
with a little bit of exercise, that is the biggest anti-aging thing that you can do in your life.
Wow. Well, doctor, and it's drjerrys.com, Jerrys. The sand has run through the hourglass on us, and sugar is a no-no, but we all can have a cookie once in a while, I hope. Just once in a while.
Use common sense, but
there you go.
Heighten your awareness. Be aware of what you and I have talked about. I appreciate you. Your questions were awesome, and I hope you'll have me on again.
Oh, sure I will. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for being on with us this time, and we really did appreciate. And we appreciate the fact that you'll be with us again. And again, before this day is over, I know a lot of our listeners, especially those with type 2 diabetes, may be going to Dr. Jerrys, JERRYS.com.